Hello, this is Chad with Syncfusion, and a customer came to us recently asking about our React Gantt control. So today I thought I would go over the question and then walk through the answers. So here is the question. Customer using our Gantt control, and they do not want to show the weekends, so they set the flag as false. And the issue is about the date pickers. They're not honoring the hide weekends flag. So let's talk about it for a minute. Here is the sample that we used to reproduce the issue and to provide an answer. This is our Gantt control. This is from our sample browser. Gantt control is over here, and this sample is showing how to add a baseline to it. So the baseline is this little red line. You can change the color on that. We just went with red. Now let's take a look at the sample. Here is what we did. So a couple things about this before I get started. First, the data. This data.js is used for every grid sample, and for every Gantt sample rather. And if you look at it, the Gantt only requires these two date fields to run. That's all we need. For the baseline, we are adding the baseline end and the baseline start. Both these fields have been added, so they're extra to the Gantt. Okay, so let me show the issue real quick. This is it right here. Now the modal dialog is what what she mentioned that she didn't have problems with. This is the modal dialog that comes up. And from here you can see the weekends are the skip weekends are honored, right, for the start and for the planned end and regular times. The issue comes here in the grid control. So if you want to start, the start and end times, they honor the weekends, but the planned start and planned end, they do not honor the weekends. Weekends are a viable option for these date pickers. All right, so how do we fix that? Couple things we have to do. We have to set up, so to fix this, we have to register for the action begin event. That's the first thing we have to do. And then and by the way, here's where you're setting this, here's where we're setting the weekend flag. This is a weekend flag here that's been set. Okay. Now we're going to create the action begin. That dialog that I showed up is actually a customized dialog. So you can see here that we're adding date pickers to that for both of these. We're adding a date picker for both of those in that custom dialog pop-up. So now we're going to add it now we're going to come with the action begin and do something with it. And the quick way to fix that is to simply define what this date picker is and does, or what it does rather. So there we go. So in this event, we only care if the action type is edit. That's the only time we care. And we're creating we're getting a hold of the Gantt. We're getting a hold of the date picker. So we have a date picker control. And then we're going to tell the date picker to bind to the Gantt. So now it's going to pull up, the Gantt was told to not show weekends. The date picker binding to that is going to include that restriction. So now that it's here, let's take a look. And there's a sample. Let's double click this, and the weekends are gone. Look at that, it was just that easy. Okay, but one more thing, something else that this kind of brings up. If you're going to do this, you now have the option in this event that you can actually customize. So let's say you had a column and you wanted the edit event to be a little bit different than the other columns. By putting this qualification in here, you can decide at the column level what that control is going to do. So a little bit extra. This was the answer. This solved the problem. Thank you for watching.